I have seen a lot of writers work on a novel for 5 years, for 10 years, and never finish it. You do not want to be one of those writers.
True.
Here are the 10 ways that you can be more productive and finish your book. 1, give yourself a reward for hitting certain word counts. You can be more productive and finish your book. 1, give yourself a reward for...
Hey, it goes by so fast. Reward yourself for hitting certain word counts or set goals. We've already done one on setting goals, so that one should be easy.
Hitting certain word counts. You should have a daily word count you're going for, whether it be 200 words or 500 words or 1,000 words. You should also have a weekly word count that you're going for, and then also milestone word counts that you're going for. And then if you hit a daily word count, give yourself a little treat, like an ice cream or something. And when you hit a milestone, like 30,000 words or 50,000 words, then give yourself a bigger treat, something like a massage. And you want to write these rewards down because it'll provide enormous motivation for you hitting those word counts. Another choice, if you don't want to do word count, is simply count the number of hours you spend. Have a goal for writing 1 hour a day. And if you hit that, make sure to reward yourself because it will make you write faster the next day. 2, don't edit. Of course, I mean don't ever edit. What I mean is when you're in the drafting process, don't step out of that process to start revising what you've already written. 1, editing slows you way down, and it's...
Wait. Don't edit. This goes so fast. Since I don't edit during, or I guess don't edit until the draft is finished. Whatever draft it is.
Don't edit. Of course, I mean don't ever edit. What I mean is when you're in the drafting process, don't step out of that process to start revising what you've already written. 1, editing slows you way down, and it's really difficult to recapture that momentum. Also, editing is a very different frame of mind than writing, and switching between those mindsets is really difficult. My recommendation is to get that first draft written as quickly as possible, and then you can go back and try to fix it up. And Lamont said that the first draft should be a get it down draft, and then the second draft should be a fix it up draft. Third tip to become a faster writer is have a sense of
the ending. That's important. First draft is get it in on paper. Second is to revise. And then third, I want to show you my butterfly short story after this. Okay, Callie, hell yeah. This shouldn't take us very long to get through this. Have a sense of the ending. Okay, mine, yes, I know exactly how it's going to end.
the ending. If you know where your story is headed, if you know the climax, if you know the end, then you're going to be writing toward it much faster than if you're sort of floundering about and the character's doing this, and the character's doing that, but you don't really know where the character's headed. Not only that, but you'll have much less revision afterwards because every single part of your book will have been aimed toward that ending. And plus, there's a psychological thing where you are excited for the ending, and so you're trying to get there quicker, and that forces you to write quicker. 4, use a timer. Have you heard of the Pomodoro method? What you do is you take a kitchen timer and you set it for 25 minutes, and you work as hard as you can for those 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break. After that 5-minute break, you set the timer for 25 minutes, and you work as hard as you can for those 25 minutes, and then you take a 5-minute break. You do this 4 times in a row, and then you take a much longer break, like a 10 or 15-minute break. Pomodoro is an Italian method of task management, and it actually comes from the Italian word for tomato, because the original timer was tomato-shaped. So using a timer like this helps you to focus all of your energy and also gives you regular breaks so you don't get burnt out. I know a lot of writers who have written entire novels using this Pomodoro method. 5, attempt a streak. So faster doesn't just mean typing faster. What faster really means is finishing your novel faster. And if you attempt a streak of writing every single day and sort of challenge yourself to see how many days in the streak you can go, you're going to end up finishing your book way faster. Because when you have 14 days in a row, you don't want to miss a day and start the streak over at 0. And my recommendation would be to keep track of your streak on a calendar. Mark every single day how many words you've written or how many hours you spent. And let me tell you, if you hit 30 days in a row, that is a streak to be proud of. And once again, going back to 1, You need to reward yourself. 6, limit research. Nothing slows down writing more than being like, oh, let me just research this on the internet. And like 3 hours later, you've gained all this knowledge about this particular topic, but guess what? You haven't written anything. I know a lot of writers who have spent most of their time researching novels and not a lot of time actually writing the novels. I don't know, maybe you need to set sort of like time limits on your research and be like, I'm gonna research this for 30 minutes and I'm gonna write for 3 hours. Ultimately, you don't want to go down the rabbit hole of like super interesting information that most of that's not gonna fit inside your novel. All you need is enough information where you can make your scene work. 7, avoid the internet and social.
7, avoid internet/social media. In my case, it's avoid your jaw. Jesus, excuse me.
Media. Do you ever have the best of intentions to start writing and you sit down and you start typing, but the machine you're working on doubles as a porthole to
Bless you,
all
times
of
4.
the
Thank you.
information in the known universe? This is a problem. My friends, you have discovered your writing kryptonite. And maybe it's not social media and the internet. Maybe you have some other distraction that sucks up all your time. I don't know, maybe it's Netflix. But whatever that thing is for you, you have to do your writing time first before you let that kryptonite sabotage you. 8, use writing tools. I know a lot of writers who swear by Scrivener. It's such a helpful way of organizing their entire novel that they don't get lost and therefore they write a lot faster. But if you don't use Scrivener, then something as old-fashioned as an outline can help you write faster. Because really an outline is just showing you where to go next. And when you know where to go next, you can just move on to that next chapter without any sort of break or pause. There's not any sort of confusion or wondering. You just know, okay, this is the next task I have to do. And then after that, this is the next task. Now there's a writing tool which is very popular right now, ChatGPT or other AI programs. I would not recommend using those in your writing process, except for research, right? It's fine to use AI as like a very advanced Google to like find out information or to ask it questions or to generate ideas, but
or to like analyze your work and see if there's but don't use it to write.
You're a creative person, right? You can actually do it, and you will discover something which is much more exciting than whatever AI can come up with. 9.
But hey, don't leave AI out, because AI can come up with some pretty great shit when it comes to, yo, Raymond Dow making a story, especially about Smokey. But it's got to be around something that has lore and context that the story itself doesn't know, but evokes to a certain audience, right? So to us, it's fucking hilarious and amazing. To someone else, it wouldn't make any sense. But I still think it's good. How's it going, Raymond? How are you today?
Every day. When you were writing, you were using up your...
Wait, what was it? I'm retarded.
Whatever AI can come up with. 9.
Read every day. We've been actually, like, reading has been the biggest thing that we've been into for the last, like, 3 months. And I think it's actually really helped my, like, creative process, is, like, seeing other people writing stuff and seeing the way that they do stuff, right? Read good books. Read bad books. Read amateur books. Read professional books. Reading is best way to write better. Yeah.
Every day. When you were writing, you were using up your creativity batteries. Reading is a way to recharge those batteries. If you don't have creativity pouring into you, you're not going to have any creativity to put on the page. And some writers, they worry about being influenced by the book.
Well, that's a good thing.
Most writers who aren't very good.
That's a good
thing. The trouble is not they've been influenced too much.
See, that's the thing. It's like, there is a line of influence, but that's a good thing if you're, like, influenced and take up, like, other things. Like, if I notice that a certain writer has a certain strategy that you like, with, like, scene structure or something like that, right? Or, like, how they develop a character. Also depends on what you read. You won't learn how to write better fiction from reading Kant. Exactly, right? But it's like, I can increase my vocabulary and my understanding of a philosophical precedent if I'm trying to create a world that has a system that's built around those kinds of philosophies. So that's why I like your philosophical takes in your essays, because that's more of a grounded structure for how I could create a society. and make that society seem actually like real and have depth, right? Same with like Levi.
Is that they've been influenced too little. Some writers like to read before they write. And if you have a book that you're modeling yours after, then yeah, absolutely read so you can get a sense of the tone and the voice and everything, and then use that in your book. Me personally, I like to read later on in the day after I've gotten all my creative stuff done, and it just recharges me so the next morning I'm ready to write again. Number 10, try dictation rather than typing. Raise your hand if you can talk faster than you can type. If so, dictation might be a really natural step for you to write your books. Richard Powers, who wrote The Overstory and several other very famous novels, he has used dictation for years, and he said it was an absolute game changer.
Yeah, it's your world having a categorical imperative would be kind of funny. Like an insane ethic and moral code. Well, see, that's the thing, Raymond. It kind of does, but it's the only reason is it's a post-scarce society. No one needs to eat, no one needs to sleep, no one feels hunger, no one feels like, you know, everything's perfect. It's basically a utopia. You don't need to sleep, you don't need to worry about anything. And the only way you can actually die is basically by having your head cut off. So it's like, there's no real reason for, like, violence and everything like that. But there is what's called the bottom 15, where the bottom 15% of the population are split into, like, 15 different categories, which are all combinations of sex, violence, and drugs. And basically, if you want to make that your lifestyle, you go down to the bottom 15. And it's basically, you can do whatever down there. And you can even kill people in, like, the Coliseum and shit like that. Like, it's a total, like, PvP flag. And that's how they remove people from society, basically. Because people that want to do that can just go do it in a safe place where other people also want to do it. And basically, it's the idea behind it is basically flagging to PvP. If you go down there, you've basically flagged to PvP, because why else the fuck are you down there? Now, of course, crimes happen, people get dragged down there and killed, and shit happens, but, you know, it's not a very large thing overall with the populace. So, there is... The people that are left over have a very, very, I don't know exactly what to call it, but a very, twisted view of the world, right? Where they think this is, like, normal and shit. But then it's like you leave the tree and it's like adventurers. There's also that clash between adventurers bringing ideas from the outside world of saying, like, hey, you know, maybe we shouldn't have these guys down in the cellar there fucking battling it out in a battle royale. So there is the question of that. So how would your society function on that? Plus you have, like entertainment and plays and songs and dances are, like, the main part. But then maybe they're super influenced by that, like, debauchery that happens in the lower 15. And you have, like, the fucking bards that basically flag up and go down there. Come on, Hunger Games would be fun. Well, for sure, right? I mean, the tree itself at the end of the book becomes, like, the main enemy place. And you're basically slaughtering civilians that are brainwashed into thinking that you're evil. Fighting your way through the entire tree, through the entire, like, third quarter of the second book, before you finally get to the Monarch. And you're going to encounter, like, family members of, like, old party members that have died and stuff like that, and it's going to be, like, the whole moral decision of what do we do with them, and it's like, try to tie them up, but then they escape, and it's like, well, we have to wind up killing them. So there's a lot of stuff I can do with that, which I absolutely love.
changer to help him get his ideas onto the page. As far as software, my favorite is Dragon. It has the very highest accuracy rating out of all the dictation softwares. I think it's 97%. And guess what? That's only going to get better in the years to come. And there's a lot of free software that you can use out there as well. I would try a couple different ones before settling on one and trying to write a book with it. Listen, this is your life and time is your most valuable resource. If you can figure out how to get this novel finished faster, you are going to be able to publish it and start writing the next one even sooner.
True. All right, that's another.
25% of novels are. I have seen a.
I remember we once created with friends this incredibly hyper-bureaucratic system for a Minecraft server, except the legal system for settling disputes, those were resolved by fighting with sticks in a hole. Yeah, exactly, Raymond. Exactly. So you have all this stuff built up, and then at the end of the day, you're like, nah, fucking fight it out violently. Can't speak the same way I write. Words don't come to me fast. My problem is that I stutter too much, I get too much off topic, and I too much rant. That's why I literally had a button to turn it on and off. But I do like the idea of dictating the sentence out loud, like Ram said, to use your own voice, putting yourself in the character's voice and saying, what would the character say at this moment? Right? And what's the perspective of the next sentence to come? If we all wrote as we spoke, most would write like shit. Yeah, but it's just to add the voice, right? So you have a little bit of voice in the writing. And I think I've noticed that definitely adds an edge to the story. Especially because the story that I'm writing is me waking up in my own story. So it's me using my own voice with my own character to see how powerful that is versus a random character. So it's like there's kind of multiple ways, reasons for this short story.